When it comes to American independence, we're often misled to think that the only conflict the founders had with Mother England had to do with taxes. It was only about economics. The widely discredited 1619 Project even postulates that the founders fought against England in order to preserve slavery in America. That is so preposterous, since some of the colonists even tried to abolish slavery and Mother England would not let them. In our Providence Forum Foundation of American Liberty film series, we show how there was a spiritual element to the road to independence, which is often overlooked today.
In 1765, the British Parliament passed the Duties in American Colonies Act. It charged a tax on all legal documents and on virtually any printed piece of paper the colonists used, even playing cards. The law was passed on March 22nd, and it went into effect on November 1st. It was called the Stamp Act. The purpose of the law was for Britain to recoup the loss they had incurred in the French and Indian War. They had defended the American colonies at a high price. Now, they thought, the Americans should pay up. However, they had not sought the Americans' input. The colonists felt that they were not being treated properly at all as British subjects. In 1765, a young unknown attorney from Virginia gave a speech against the Stamp Act. His name was Patrick Henry. It would be another 10 years before he gave another speech in this church declaring, "Give me liberty or give me death." Also, that year of 1765, the British passed the Quartering Act, which mandated that, if the need arose, American colonists would have to open their homes to house British troops. The Americans persistently tried to work out a positive resolution with Mother England over these stipulations, but to no avail.
They had tried for years to get the king and parliament to work with them, to treat them like Englishmen. They considered themselves Englishmen. They wanted to live under the English Constitution, under the charters that the kings had written over the years. They just wanted fair treatment, and they wanted representation in parliament. So they had tried to get along with the British, and the British wouldn't hear it.
In 1765, in debates in Parliament about how to deal with the 13 American colonies, Isaac Barré of the House of Commons defended the American colonists who chafed against the Stamp Act, prophetically coined a phrase that was to be picked up by many Americans, the Sons of Liberty.
They fled from your tyranny to a then uncultivated and unhospitable country, and yet actuated by the principles of true English liberty. They met all these hardships with pleasure, compared with those they suffered in their own country, from the hands of those who should have been their friends. Isaac Barré.
The Sons of Liberty would play a formidable force in the future creation of America as an independent nation. Samuel Adams, the lightning rod of the Revolution, was one of the key Sons of Liberty.
It was Sam Adams who was pushing and leading the Sons of Liberty to speak out against what they saw as British atrocities and what they would have defined as tyranny. And so you have the Sons of Liberty, and they're pushing the people to cry out against these injustices.
Sam Adams drafted a document in 1772 called The Rights of the Colonists. It is viewed historically as a key document in articulating the reasons America should sever all political ties to Great Britain. In this document, Adams argued,
"The right to freedom being the gift of God Almighty, the rights of the colonists as Christians may be best understood by reading and carefully studying the institutions of the great lawgiver and the head of the Christian Church, which are to be found clearly written and promulgated in the New Testament." Sam Adams.
I think it's easily argued that without Sam Adams, you probably would not have had the War of Independence.
The Stamp Act and the Quartering Acts of 1765 were the first of a series of laws that the British passed, which the Americans felt were oppressive. By this time, the American colonies up and down the Atlantic coast were communicating with each other, unlike in previous times. A major reason was a spiritual movement that had occurred throughout the colonies. We know it today as the Great Awakening.
You've been watching a portion of our Providence Forum documentary, The Road to Independence. Unfortunately, in our highly secular age, the spiritual roots of America are often underplayed. So generations of Americans have no idea how important the Christian faith was to the settling and the founding of America. That's why at Providence Forum, we're committed to teaching the truth about this nation's Judeo-Christian roots, including the events and ideas that help pave the way toward American independence. For Providence Forum, I'm Jerry Newcombe.